The desert was silent. Only the wind moved the sand. The human soldier walked alone between the tall red rocks. His name was Daniel, and he carried nothing but his rifle and courage. The sun burned above him, and the air was heavy with dust. Yet his steps did not slow. Behind him, far away, other soldiers stayed back. They whispered that this mission was cursed. They said no human should enter this canyon, because an alien giant lived here, a creature taller than any man, with strength like 100 warriors. They feared she would crush anyone who dared face her. But Daniel did not turn back. His orders were clear: scout the canyon, report any danger. Still, inside his heart, he knew this was more than duty. Something pulled him forward, something beyond fear. The ground trembled. At first he thought it was the wind, but then stones rolled from the cliffs. Dust rose from cracks in the earth. He froze, gripping his rifle tight. His ears caught a sound, a heavy, steady thump, like thunder moving closer. Then he saw her. She stepped out from behind the red rocks. Her shadow stretched across the canyon floor. Her skin was deep blue, glowing faintly under the sun. Her long silver hair fell over her shoulders like a river of light. She wore dark armor, tight against her tall, powerful frame. Her eyes shone with a strange fire, watching him with sharp interest. Daniel's breath caught. She was no rumor, no myth. She was real, an 8-foot alien giant standing before him. The other soldiers far behind shouted in panic, "Fall back! Don't face her!" Their voices echoed weakly against the stone, but Daniel did not move. He felt her gaze lock onto him, ignoring the others completely. The giant tilted her head. Her lips curved into the smallest smile, though her eyes remained sharp and unreadable. She took one slow step forward, and the ground shook again. The distance between them shrank with every step. Daniel lifted his rifle, but his hands did not shake. His instincts screamed at him to fire, to retreat, yet his heart whispered something else. This was not an enemy rushing to kill. This was a test. The alien giant stopped only a few paces away. Her shadow swallowed him, making him feel like a child standing before a mountain. She looked down at him with calm curiosity. Then, in a voice deep but strangely soft, she spoke, "You did not run." Her words were heavy, carrying an accent not human, but still clear. They echoed inside him like a challenge. Daniel swallowed. "Why would I run?" he asked. His voice was steady, though his chest pounded. "No human dares to stand," she said, tilting her head again. "They run when they hear my steps. They hide when they see my shadow. But you, little soldier, you stay." Her eyes narrowed, studying him like he was more than flesh, as if she could see through his skin into his soul. For a long moment, silence ruled the canyon. The hot wind whipped between them, lifting strands of her silver hair. The giant bent slightly, lowering herself to his level. Her eyes locked onto his, close enough that he could see the faint glow of alien patterns across her skin. They pulsed softly, like veins of light. Daniel's grip tightened on his rifle, but he did not raise it higher. He knew if she wanted, she could crush him in one motion. Yet she had not. Instead, she studied him, curious and calm. "You have courage," she said finally. Her voice carried a strange weight. "Perhaps you are the one I have been waiting for." The words struck him harder than a blow. Waiting for him? A human soldier lost in the desert? Before he could ask, she straightened back to her full height. Towering again, her presence filled the canyon like a storm ready to break. The ground still hummed from her steps. The other soldiers in the distance began shouting again, telling Daniel to retreat, warning him that he was doomed. But Daniel's feet did not move. Something inside him whispered that turning back now would mean losing more than his life. It would mean losing a chance at something greater. The alien giant lifted her hand slowly, palm open. Her fingers were long, strong, glowing faintly with the same light as the markings on her skin. She did not threaten, she offered. The canyon grew silent again. The wind held its breath. The world seemed to wait for his choice. Would he take the hand of an alien giant? Would he dare to step into The unknown, where no human had gone before. Daniel stared at her hand, his heart thundered, his throat was dry. Yet his courage burned stronger than his fear, and as the desert sun blazed down, the first bond between human and alien giant began. Daniel's hand hovered in the hot air, his pulse hammered in his chest as he stared at the open palm of the alien giant. The world around him seemed to vanish, only the desert, the wind, and her steady gaze remained. Behind him, distant voices screamed, "Don't touch her! She will kill you!" The other soldiers were shaking, their fear echoing through the canyon. But Daniel did not lower his hand. He felt it deep in his chest. This was not death reaching for him. This was something else. Something far more dangerous than fear. Giant's eyes glowed faintly. She did not blink. Her silver hair lifted softly with the wind as she waited, patient as stone. For her, time did not rush. She could stand for hours, watching if he dared. Finally, Daniel placed his hand into hers. The heat was sharp, burning through his skin, yet not destroying. It was alive, like fire held in control. He gasped, but he did not pull away. The giant's fingers curled around his hand with gentle strength. It was not the grip of a killer. It was the grip of someone testing. Her lips curved again, this time into a small but certain smile. "You choose courage," she said. Her voice carried weight, as if the canyon itself listened. "Then you may hear my truth." The light in her markings flickered brighter for a moment, then faded. She released his hand and stepped back, her tall frame still towering above him. She looked down at him with eyes that had seen wars, stars, and endless time. "My name is Seraph," she said slowly, as if giving him a secret. I am last of the guardians, last of the bond keepers. My people believe no human can face the ritual. They believe you are too weak, too fragile, too afraid. But still, I search." Daniel felt the weight of her words sink into him. Guardians? Bond keepers? A ritual? He had no answers, only questions. "What is this ritual?" he asked, his voice low but steady. She looked at him for a long time before answering. Her gaze pierced him like a blade. "A bond is not a game," she said. "It is not friendship, not alliance. It is a link of soul to soul, thought to thought. It is forever, unbroken until death." Her words rolled through him, chilling and heavy. A bond that tied forever? It sounded impossible, too great, too dangerous. "And if I refuse?" Daniel asked. Sarath's smile faded. Her eyes grew darker, more distant. "Then you leave," she said. "You go back to your kind and live your short life as if nothing touched you. You will forget this canyon, forget me. But know this, no courage will ever feel the same, for nothing else will test you as I can." Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "And if you accept, you will never walk as only yourself again." Daniel felt the canyon tighten around him. The choice weighed on his chest like stone. Refuse, and he returned safe but empty. Accept, and step into something unknown. Before he could answer, movement caught his eyes. From the cliffs above, shadows shifted. Metallic shapes crawled along the rock. Enemy machines, alien war drones. Their red eyes glowed as they prepared to strike. Sarath's head turned sharply, her silver hair flashing. A deep growl rolled from her throat. Her voice turned sharp as a blade. "They come again," she said. "The hunters will not let us bond. They fear what we may become." The machines leapt down, landing in bursts of dust. Their weapons hummed with deadly light. The other human soldiers screamed in panic. Firing blindly, their bullets sparked against the machine's armored shells. Useless, Daniel raised his rifle, aiming at the nearest drone. Fear should have frozen him, but instead he felt a strange fire. A strength not his own. Was it from the touch he had shared with her? Sarath slammed her foot into the earth. The canyon shook. With one motion she tore a boulder from the cliff and hurled it. The rock crushed 3 machines instantly, but more crawled from the shadows. Endless, she looked at Daniel, her eyes burning. "With fire, human soldier," she said firmly. "Now you see you cannot face this alone. And I cannot face this without the bond, decide." Her hand stretched again, glowing faintly. The heat pulsed from her palm like a heartbeat. The enemy closed in, red lights flashing closer. Daniel's chest tightened, the voices of his fellow soldiers screamed for retreat, but Sarath's voice cut through it all, steady and strong. "Take my hand," she commanded, "or be broken like the rest." Daniel's breath burned in his throat. His heart raced. He had never faced a choice so sharp. Death pressed close on all sides. Yet the bond promised more than survival. It promised something beyond fear. He looked into her glowing eyes, and in that moment, he knew. This was not only about saving lives, this was about changing everything. With a deep breath, Daniel reached forward again. His hand shook, but his courage held. And as his palm met hers a second time, the canyon filled with blinding light. The dangerous meeting had begun. The light burst through the canyon, blinding the soldiers who watched from a distance. Daniel felt his skin burn with fire and ice at the same time. The air shook with power, and he almost lost his balance, but Sarath's huge hand held him steady. Her grip was strong yet gentle, unbreakable yet careful. The glow from her markings spread into his arm. Thin streams of blue light crawling under his skin. He gasped as vision struck him, stars spinning, strange worlds filled with towering beings like her. Endless battles against enemies with metal faces and red eyes. He felt fear, sorrow, and loneliness that was not his own. Sarath's voice echoed inside his mind, not from her lips, but from within. "Do not resist. Human," she said, "this is the bond test in your heart." Daniel clenched his teeth. His knees wanted to give way. His body screamed at him to pull back, to let go, but his spirit pushed forward. He whispered through the fire, "I won't break." Sarath's golden eyes widened. Her lips curved into a rare smile. "Then the ritual continues," she said softly. Her voice now inside and outside at once, echoing through him. The machines around them charged, their red eyes burning brighter. But in that moment, time slowed. Daniel no longer saw only through his own eyes. He felt her sight, the weight of her tall frame, the strength in her muscles, the centuries of memory inside. Her mind, the connection deepened. A burning chain wrapped his soul to hers. Each heartbeat echoed in both bodies. Each breath felt shared. The pain was sharp, but behind it was something greater, something vast and endless. Sarath knelt, her towering body lowering until her face was close to his again. "This is the bond," she whispered. "A ritual of courage, of trust, of surrender. Do not fight me, Daniel. Let it flow." Daniel's name sounded strange in her voice, deep and heavy, but also alive. He shut his eyes and let go. The fire surged, but instead of pain it became power, a storm roaring inside both of them. His rifle in his hands glowed faintly. The metal seemed lighter, his muscles stronger. He realized he was not holding it alone. She was with him, guiding, supporting, amplifying. Then came another vision, a battlefield drowned in fire. Sarath stood alone, her people fallen, the bond rejected by all others. She was not feared only by enemies. She was feared by her own kind. Her heart carried centuries of silence, centuries of being untouchable. Daniel's chest tightened. Her loneliness stabbed deeper than any wound. He whispered inside the link, "You're not alone anymore." Her eyes flashed, golden fire brightening. She had heard his thought. She had felt it as if it were her own. The bond grew stronger, wrapping tighter. The glow covered his arms, his chest. Even his eyes flickered with blue light. He staggered but stood tall. The machines attacked. One leapt at him, claws sparking with deadly energy. Before he could pull the trigger, Sarath's power surged through his body. His reflexes were faster, his aim sharper. He fired once perfect. The bullet pierced the drone's core, and it exploded in flames. The soldiers watching gasped. They had never seen a human move like that. They whispered in disbelief, "What is happening to him?" Sarath rose again, her full height casting a shadow like a mountain. She smashed two more machines with her fists. but her eyes stayed locked on Daniel. "The bond accepts you," she said. Her voice was not just sound, it was truth. Daniel's heart thundered. He could feel her pride in him, her strength pushing into his veins. Every motion felt doubled. Human skill and alien power moving as one. But then came the test. The light around them began to twist, turning into chains of flame. They wrapped around his chest, his arms, his mind. A voice whispered inside, cruel and heavy. "You are too small, too weak. You cannot carry her soul." Daniel fell to his knees. His lungs burned. His vision blurred. The world spun. The other soldiers shouted, thinking he was dying. Sarath's voice boomed inside his skull. "Stand, Daniel. Stand or the bond will shatter." He wanted to scream. His body was breaking. But deep inside he saw her again. Sarath, alone, her people calling her cursed. Her heart heavy with silence, he thought. If I give up, she will be alone forever. His hands dug into the sand. He forced himself up step by step. The chains cut deeper. The fire roared louder. But he did not let go. He looked into Sarath's golden eyes. "I'm not leaving you." The chains burst into sparks. The fire melted into light. The glow covered both of them completely. Their breaths synchronized. Their hearts beat as one. The machine stopped moving for a moment, as if sensing something beyond their control. The canyon trembled, and even the soldiers watching fell silent. Sarath reached out again, her voice a vow. "Then you are bound to me, human, not by chance. Not by fear, but by choice." Daniel's voice shook but did not break. "Then I choose it." The ritual was complete. The bond was sealed, and in that moment, human and alien giants stood not as two, but as one. The canyon still glowed with the strange blue light of the bond. Daniel stood trembling, his chest rising and falling as if he had run 1,000 miles. His skin shimmered faintly where Sarath's power had touched him, and his eyes flickered. With a glow not human, Sarath watched him closely, her tall form bent low, her golden eyes sharp but filled with something new respect. "The bond is sealed," she said softly. "You are no longer only human, Daniel. You carry my fire now." He swallowed hard. His throat was dry. His heart still pounded with the echo of her strength inside him. The fire in his veins burned and hummed, alive and restless. What happens now?" he asked, his voice unsteady. Before Sarath could answer, the canyon shook again. From the cliffs above, more machines crawled forward, their red eyes glowing like a storm of embers. They had paused when the bond flared, but now they advanced faster, angry, desperate. Sarath rose back to her full height, her long silver hair whipping in the hot wind. Her deep voice rolled like thunder. "Now the fire will test you." The first machine leapt down, its claws sparking. With deadly energy, Daniel raised his rifle, but before he could fire, a surge ran through his body. His arms felt stronger, faster, his vision sharpened. He pulled the trigger. The bullet exploded through the machine's core with perfect aim. He gasped, lowering his weapon. "That wasn't me." Sarath's voice echoed both in his ears and inside his head. "It was us." More machines rushed forward. Their weapons flashed red. Daniel dodged one beam with speed he never had before. He felt Sarath's instincts guiding his legs, pushing him to move where he would have been struck. Another drone lunged, but his arm rose without thought. His rifle fired. The machine fell in sparks. The soldiers watching from a distance shouted in disbelief. "He's moving like her." One cried, "That's impossible." Sarath slammed her fist into the ground, a shockwave tearing through 5 machines at once. She looked down at Daniel, her lips curved into a faint smile. "The bond gives you my strength," she said, "but it gives me something too." Daniel frowned. "What could I possibly give you?" Her eyes softened for just a moment, glowing faintly with warmth. "Your will," she said. "Your heart stands where even giants fall. That is what I need." The words struck deep. He had always been just a soldier, one among thousands, disposable. But in her eyes he was something more. Before he could answer, the machines regrouped. This time they fired in unison, beams of red light cutting across the canyon. Daniel dove to the ground, but one beam caught his shoulder. The heat seared his skin. He cried out. Dropping his weapon, Sereth roared, the sound shaking the rocks. She swung her massive arm, shielding him from the next blast. The beam struck her armor, scorching it. She winced but did not move aside. Daniel pushed himself up, clutching his burned shoulder. The fire in his veins surged again, healing the pain with a faint blue glow. He stared at his skin, shocked, the wound sealed. Faster than he thought possible, Sereth's voice thundered. The bond keeps you alive. Do not waste it. Stand with me. He gritted his teeth, grabbed his weapon again, and stood beside her towering frame. Together they struck, her fists breaking stone, his bullets piercing steel. The machines fell one by one, their broken parts burning in the sand. But the bond carried more than strength. As they fought, Daniel felt her thoughts bleeding into his own. He saw flashes, her fear of being alone, her centuries of waiting, her hope that this human might truly stand with her. And she felt his doubt, his longing for purpose, his quiet dream of being more than just another nameless soldier. Every strike, every breath, their souls pressed closer. When the last machine fell smoking to the ground, silence returned. The other soldiers did not cheer, they only stared at Daniel with wide eyes as if he was no longer one of them. Daniel leaned on his rifle, gasping. His body shook, not from weakness but from the fire still burning inside. He looked up at Sereth. Her armor was cracked, her blue skin glowing through the breaks. Yet she stood proud, her golden eyes on him alone. She knelt down, her face close. Her voice dropped low, meant only for him. You did not break, Daniel. The fire accepts you. He swallowed, still shaking. It feels like it's tearing me apart. Her expression softened, a strange gentleness breaking through her sharp features. It will, she said, until you learn to master it. Until then, you will burn. But remember, fire is not only pain. Fire is life, fire is power, fire is trust. Her massive hand reached, brushing the edge of his shoulder where the wound had healed. Her touch was warm, almost tender. And you chose to share this fire with me. Daniel felt his chest tighten. His throat was dry. He wanted to answer, but words failed. The other soldiers shouted again from the distance. Pull back. It's too dangerous. They still feared her, still believed this was madness. But Daniel did not move away. His heart was already tied, his soul already burning. The desert wind howled, carrying the smell of smoke and dust. Sereth rose again, taller than stone, her eyes fixed on the horizon where more shadows stirred. This is only the beginning, she said. The bond has woken, and the enemy will never stop. But if you endure the fire, you will be more than human. You will be my other half. Daniel's chest tightened at her words. His fear battled with a strange new courage. He had no answer, not yet, but deep inside, he knew he had already stepped onto a path he could never leave, and the fire would burn until it remade him. The canyon was silent for only a breath. The smell of smoke and broken metal still filled the air. Daniel stood with his chest rising and falling, his hands tight on his rifle. Sereth stood tall beside him, her armor cracked but her golden eyes still burning strong. For a moment it seemed the battle was over, but then the silence broke. From the far horizon came a deep hum, low at first, then louder. The ground trembled under Daniel's boots, the cliffs shook, dust fell in streams from the high rocks. Sereth's gaze lifted, her sharp eyes narrowing. Her deep voice rumbled with warning. They are coming. Daniel turned his head, squinting into the desert glare. His breath caught. Dozens of red lights appeared in the distance, not crawling machines like before this time. An army, tall war machines marched in formation, their metal feet striking the ground in perfect rhythm. Behind them floated ships shaped like black knives, hovering low. Their weapons glowed with deadly red fire. Other human soldiers screamed in fear. Their shouts echoed. We can't fight this. "Retreat! Retreat now!" They stumbled back, some already running. But Daniel did not move. He felt the fire in his veins pulse stronger, urging him to stand. Serath's presence beside him was heavy and steady, like a mountain refusing to fall. "They bring their full strength," she said, her eyes locked on the enemy. "They know the bond is sealed. They will not allow us to live." Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Then we fight." Her golden eyes turned toward him. They softened for only a moment before she gave a firm nod. "Yes, together." The army drew closer. The hum of engines grew into a roar. The air itself seemed to burn with red light. Serath stepped forward, raising her arms. The markings on her skin flared bright blue. Her voice thundered through the canyon. "You stand against Serath of the Guardians." Her words shook the cliffs. The machines did not stop. They opened fire. A storm of red beams rained down. Daniel dove. But this time he did not feel weak. His legs carried him faster. His arms lifted his rifle smoother. Each shot he fired struck true. Sparks burst from enemy cores. Machines fell smoking to the sand. But there were too many. The sky filled with red fire. Explosions cracked against the cliffs. Stone rained down. The ground shook under the march of the machines. Serath roared, leaping into the storm. Her fists smashed through steel. Her legs tore apart metal bodies like they were paper, yet four. Every machine she crushed. 3 more appeared. Daniel fired until his rifle grew hot. His body moved with strange speed, guided by the bond. He ducked, rolled, fired again. His aim perfect. His movements sharper than ever before. Still, sweat dripped down his face. His chest ached. The fire in his veins burned. But each second felt heavier, through the bond. Serath felt his strain. Her voice echoed inside his head. "Endure, Daniel. The fire is with you. Do not give in." He gritted his teeth. His hands shook, but he kept fighting. He whispered inside, "I won't leave you." Her eyes blazed brighter as she crushed another machine. His thought had reached her heart. She fought fiercer, as if his courage gave her strength. But then the ground split. A shadow rose far larger than the others. A war machine 3 times taller than Serath climbed from the earth. Its body was black metal, its eyes glowing with burning red fire. Its arms were cannons the size of trees. The soldiers screamed in terror. "It's a Titan." Daniel froze. His rifle looked like a toy compared to the monster. His chest tightened. But Serath stood tall, even against the giant machine. Her deep voice thundered. "They send their Titan to break us, Daniel. This is the true test." The Titan raised its arm. A cannon charged with red fire. The air shook. Daniel shouted, "Move!" But Serath did not step aside. She planted her feet in the sand. She raised her arms wide. Her markings blazed with blue fire. The cannon fired. A beam of red light roared forward. The blast struck Serath head-on. Dust and smoke exploded. Canyon shook as if the world itself cracked. Daniel screamed her name, "Serath!" He stumbled forward, his chest burning, his vision blurred. The bond flared, flooding him with her pain, her struggle, her refusal to fall. The dust cleared. Serath was still standing. Her armor shattered, her body smoking with heat. Her knees trembled, but she had not fallen. Her golden eyes glowed fierce. She whispered through the bond, "The fire holds. But only together can we strike this Titan down." Daniel clenched his rifle tighter. His fear melted into fire. He nodded. "Then let's finish this," the Titan roared, raising its cannons again. The army of machines closed tighter. The canyon shook under the weight of the coming storm. Daniel and Serath stood side by side, human and alien giant, their bond burning brighter than ever, the fire ready to consume them both. And together, they charged into the heart of the enemy. The Titan's roar shook the canyon. The air burned with red fire. Daniel's chest pounded as he ran beside Serath. The bond pulled him forward, his legs moving with a strength he never owned before. Serath's steps thundered like falling mountains, her silver hair flying wild in the storm of dust. The Titan raised its cannons again, aiming straight at them. Daniel felt the heat building. His throat tightened. Fear stabbed at his chest. But then Sarath's voice filled his mind. "Do not fear. You are not alone." The bond pulsed brighter. The fire in his veins calmed. Daniel lifted his rifle, aiming true. He fired at the Titan's glowing joints. Sparks burst. The machine staggered. But only for a moment. It was too strong. Sarath leapt high, her fists glowing with blue fire. She struck the Titan's chest. The impact shook the cliffs. The giant machine stumbled, but it did not fall. It swung its arm, hitting her across the canyon wall. The crash echoed like thunder. Daniel screamed, "Sarath!" Dust and stone buried her. His chest burned as pain cut through the bond. He felt her struggle, her breath heavy, her body weakened. He dropped his rifle and ran, climbing over the broken rocks. His hands bled as he pulled at the heavy stones. "I'm not leaving you," he shouted. His voice cracked. Through the dust, her golden eyes glowed faintly. She was trapped, her massive frame pinned. Her voice was weak but steady. "Why do you fight for me?" Daniel froze. His chest heaved. Sweat dripped down his face. "Because you fought for me," he said. His voice shook, but his eyes were firm. "Because you stood when no one else would. Because you're not a monster. You're more human than most of us." Silence followed. For a heartbeat, only the sound of falling dust filled the air. Then her voice whispered into his mind, soft and trembling. "For centuries I have carried this curse. My people feared me. They said no one could ever bond with me. I was left alone. Only the enemy came for me. Only war stayed at my side." Daniel pushed another heavy stone away. His arms ached, but he didn't stop. "You're not alone now," he said. "Not anymore." The bond pulsed again, warmer this time, not fire but something gentler. For the first time, Daniel felt not just her power, but her heart, her loneliness, her longing, her hidden hope. It broke something inside him. Finally, with one last push, he freed her arm. She rose slowly, her tall form shaking but unbroken, her golden eyes locked on his, softer now, shining. "You would bleed for me," she said, almost a question. Daniel wiped the dust from his face, his voice rough. "I already have." Her lips curved into something rare, a true smile. Her massive hand reached down, not as a warrior's grip, but as a touch of trust. She brushed his shoulder gently, almost tender. "Then perhaps the bond is more than fire," she whispered. "Perhaps it is heart." Before Daniel could answer, the Titan roared again, its cannons charged, the red glow flooding the canyon. The other soldiers far behind screamed in fear. Some prayed, others wept, none dared to stand. But Sarath did not fall back. She straightened her body, tall and proud despite her wounds. She looked down at Daniel, her golden eyes fierce but soft at the edges. "Will you stand with me?" she asked. Daniel nodded, his voice steady. "Always." The bond flared so bright that even the soldiers in the distance shielded their eyes. Blue fire wrapped Daniel and Sarath both. Their hearts beat as one. Their breaths moved together. For a moment, human and alien giant were not two beings. They were one flame. The Titan fired. A red beam tore through the canyon. But Sarath lifted her arm, and Daniel felt his body move with hers. Together they raised a shield of fire. The beam struck. The ground cracked, rocks exploded. But the bond held. The fire blazed. Daniel shouted, his voice full of power not his own. "Now, Sarath!" She leapt forward, carrying him with her. Her fist glowed like a star. He fired his rifle at the Titan's exposed chest at the same time. The bond made their strike one. Bullet and fist, human and alien, heart and fire. The Titan's chest exploded. In flames its body groaned, metal screeching. It staggered, collapsing into the sand with a roar. Silence fell. The sky filled with smoke. The ground trembled one last time, and then all was still. Daniel gasped for breath, his body shaking. His rifle falling from his hand, Sarath knelt beside him, her chest rising heavy, her eyes on him alone. "You did it," she whispered. No, we did it, Daniel said, his voice soft but proud. The bond pulsed warm, and in that warmth, Daniel felt her heart truly open, no longer guarded, no longer hidden. He felt her gratitude, her relief, her quiet joy, and she felt his trust, his stubborn courage, his promise never to leave. The soldiers behind stared in silence. None of them spoke. None could understand what they had seen. But Daniel and Sareth knew. Something greater than victory had been born here. Not just a bond of fire, but a bond of heart. And deep inside, both of them understood. This was only the beginning. The Titan's burning wreck still smoked in the canyon. Its body was broken, sparks leaping from its shattered chest. The red glow of its eyes faded into darkness. The battlefield was silent, except for the sound of crackling fire and the heavy breaths of two survivors, Daniel and Sareth. The other human soldiers stayed far behind. They stared in disbelief, afraid to step closer to them. The sight was unreal. A human soldier standing side by side with an alien giant, bound together in fire and light. Daniel's legs trembled, his chest burned with exhaustion. His hands shook, but he did not fall. The bond kept him standing. The fire in his veins hummed like a living heartbeat. Sareth's golden eyes were fixed on him, sharp but softened with something deeper. You endured, she said, her voice low and powerful. You faced the fire, you faced the enemy, and you did not break. Daniel tried to smile, though his lips were dry. I didn't do it alone, he said. Her gaze lingered. For a long moment she was silent. Then her words came slowly, heavy with meaning. Among my kind, the bond is sacred. It is not just power. It is a promise. Once chosen, it cannot be undone. You are tied to me, Daniel, and I to you. The words sank into him like stone, binding and final. His chest tightened. But instead of fear, he felt something else: acceptance. Then I accept it, he said, steady and clear. Her tall frame shifted. Her lips curved into a rare, true smile. She knelt low, lowering her massive form until her face was level with his. Then you are not just soldier, she whispered. You are mine. The bond pulsed warm, and Daniel felt her heart open fully. He felt her pride, her joy, her long years of loneliness finally breaking, and in return, she felt his stubborn courage, his loyalty, his promise never to leave. But peace did not last. The canyon walls trembled. The sky darkened as clouds of smoke spread. From the far horizon came another sound, not machines this time, but ships. Black warships rose above the desert, their shadows long and heavy, dozens of them, their weapons glowing. The soldiers behind panicked again. There's too many. We'll all die here. Daniel looked up, his throat tightened. The bond flared, warning him of the danger. They won't stop, will they? Sareth's eyes grew sharp again, her golden fire burning. No, she said. They will send all they have because they fear what we have become. Her words hit deep. The bond was not only a weapon, it was a threat. A challenge to those who ruled through fear. Daniel clenched his fists, his body ached. But the fire inside pushed him forward. Then let them come, he said. His voice carried not fear, but steel. We'll fight. Sareth's chest rose, pride flashing in her gaze. She reached out, her massive hand brushing his shoulder gently. Courage, she whispered. You are chosen not for strength, not for size, but for courage. That is what makes you more than all of them. The warships drew closer, their shadows swallowing the canyon, weapons charged, the glow of red light spreading. But something shifted. The soldiers behind, who had cowered in fear, began to whisper. They had seen Daniel stand against the Titan. They had seen Sareth protect him. They had seen the bond burn. One soldier stepped forward, shaking but brave. If he can stand, then so can we. Another followed, raising his weapon. We'll fight with him. Soon the canyon echoed with voices, soldiers rallying. Courage sparked in their hearts by the sight of one human and one alien standing together. Daniel felt it through the bond. Sareth felt it too. hope spreading like fire, not just in them, but in all who watched. The warships fired. Beams of red light tore through the sky. Daniel lifted his rifle. Sareth raised her arms. Together they stood at the front, their fire blazing brighter than ever. The blast came, but the bond held. The shield of fire roared around them. The enemy's power broke against it. The soldiers behind shouted and charged, following the courage of the one who had not run. The battlefield turned, not because of numbers, not because of weapons, but because one human had dared to bond with an alien giant. Through the fire, through the roar, Sarath's voice whispered inside Daniel's mind. "Do you see now?" Daniel's chest burned. His voice answered with steady strength. "Yes, I see. This is not just survival. This is something greater." Her golden eyes glowed with pride. "Then know this, Daniel, your courage has made me whole. You are my warrior. My bond, my heart." The fire flared brighter, filling the sky. Human and alien giant, side by side, chosen not by fear but by courage. And as the storm of war raged on, a new legend was born, one that would never be forgotten.